Hello everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited to be filming this video. We are talking about my July reading plans. The reason why I am so excited is because I definitely feel like I'm out of my reading slump that I was in definitely in May and probably into April and March as well. Oh my god, I've just been reading so many amazing books lately and I am so pumped for the books that I plan on reading in July. So something that's kind of crazy, like absolutely insane about this TBR is that I think there's only one historical romance. And that is because I think I'm actually getting a little burnt out on historical romances. I know, I'm shocked too. Like, what? I am someone who has like built my channel on how many historical romances I read. I feel like this happened last summer too, actually, that all I wanted to read was like contemporary and maybe even like darker romances, things like that. I also want to read more thrillers, maybe even more fantasy, maybe even science fiction. I don't know. We will just see where the summer takes me, but for July, yeah, I have a ton of contemporary romances for sure. So the first few books I want to talk about are books that have been sitting in my Kindle Unlimited library for months at this point. I will say I am so proud of myself because I have been doing a really great job of finally getting to my Kindle Unlimited books that I borrowed back in January. So I definitely want to keep that vibe going in July. So the first book that I have is Apartment Threesome by Parker Hayes. I think I borrowed this back in like the fall of 2021. It has been sitting on my Kindle Unlimited for a very, very long time for like no good reason other than I just keep forgetting that I borrowed it basically. But this one is an FFM romance. It involves these two women who are roommates and they need a third person for their apartment, and so this guy answers their ad, and so it's an erotic romance between the three of them. Sounds like it's gonna be a fun time, you know? Next I have The Book Boyfriend by Gina Louise Skinner. I have never heard anybody talk about this book, but I saw the cover and that it looks like we have a plus size heroine going on, and this just looks amazing. So basically it's about our main character Emmeline. Basically she inherits a secondhand bookshop from a mysterious old friend. She discovers that magic is real and maybe her fantasies about the heroes and her favorite historical romances aren't so far-fetched after all. A handsome stranger wielding a sword as dangerous as his tutor past appears in Emmy's bookshop asking for help. Together they must race against time itself to lift the curse imprisoning him in an ancient book. Doesn't that sound amazing? I love this cover. I'm here for that vibe. I haven't heard anyone talk about this book, so hopefully I really enjoy it. It only has 93 ratings. So yeah, we will see what I think of it. Next up, I was just reading through the synopsis and I'm already dying laughing. Next up is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. I mean, doesn't that title say it all? And I love this cover, but basically it's about our main character. She gets drunk one night and she saves this demon Fallon, and all he wants to do is kill an evil witch enslaving his people. I mean, I get it, don't get me wrong, but he's dragging me along for the ride and I'm kind of peeved about it. On the bright side, he keeps burning off his shirt, and that's the end of the synopsis. I wanted to read this mainly because the title of book 2 excites me even more. It's called That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. Like, what are these titles? The best titles ever, I would say. So yeah, I wanted to read the first novella before getting to that one, and this just sounds like it's gonna be a fun time. Next up we have Ruthless Creatures by J.T. Geisinger. This is a mafia romance series that I have been meaning to start for a while. This is yet another book that has been sitting on my KU for quite a few months, and I know that Jen has raved about this series. I think Bree has also started reading this series as well, and she's been really loving it. So for my only historical romance on this TBR, I have Something Fabulous by Alexis Hall. So I read A Lady for a Duke at the very beginning of June. Absolutely loved that book. That book though has a much more serious tone than this one from what I understand. That one's more of like a slow burn, character driven story. It also features a trans heroine. whereas this one is an MM historical rom-com, and that vibe is amazing. I personally really love this cover. Also, what's fun is that this is free to read and listen on Kindle Unlimited. So if you borrow the ebook off of KU, you get the audiobook for free, which is really fun. Next up, we have Four Aunties and a Wedding by Jessie Q. Sutanto. So this is book 2 in a series. Book 1 was Dial A for Aunties. I read that last year and absolutely loved that book. Seriously, one of the funniest books I've ever read, which is kind of messed up when you think about it, because the plot of that book involved our main character accidentally killing someone, and so she calls up her mom and her aunties and they help her hide the body. There was also a wedding involved, also a romance involved, like a second chance romance with this guy Nathan that I think she dated back in college. And so this is the follow-up where our main character and Nathan are getting married. I can't remember any character names other than the hero for some reason. But yeah, I've heard that this is even funnier than book 1. So I am so pumped for this. Next up, we have Wait For It by Mariana Zapata. I just need to read more from this author. I have now read 3 books by her. I've given them all 5 stars, and I'm just dying to delve more deeply into her backlist, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book in particular. I think this might be her longest book, if I'm not mistaken, because I think it's close to like 700 pages. If you know nothing about this author, she writes the slowest of slow burn romances, and they're amazing. So this one's a neighbor romance, and I think the hero is a single parent. I just really need to read more from this author. I have quite a few of her audiobooks in my Audible library, because once again, Audible was having a sale some months back, and so I just snagged a bunch of her audiobooks, because quite a few of them are only from Audible. So yeah, really excited for this one as well. Next up, we have Royally Matched by Emma Chase. This is book 2 in her royalty romance series. I read book 1, which is Royally Screwed, I think that's the title, way back, maybe in 2020. It has been a very long time since I read that book. That book was basically a sexy version of The Prince and Me, if you know that movie. And so I remember being really intrigued about the main characters of this book, because they were featured quite a bit in book 1. And I believe this one involves a bachelor type reality show. And so it's just weird that I haven't read this book yet, because I know that it's going to be a book I'm going to really like. It's just one of those books that I like continuously forget about whenever I'm making TBRs. So yeah, this definitely needs to happen in July. So I have just a couple of books left, and then I'll get 2 books that I physically own. So first up, we have Behind the Bars by Brittany C. Cherry. So this is another author that I feel like at this point it's a crime that I've only read 1 of her books. I read The Gravity of Us back in, I think, 2020, once again. And since then, I have been meaning to put another one of her books on my TBRs, and it just doesn't happen. I always forget to. And this book in particular, I'm really excited about, because I think this is one of Bree's absolute favorite Brittany C. Cherry books. And I just skimmed through her Goodreads review of this book, and she was raving about how sweet the hero is. And I'm just really in the mood to read romances with cinnamon roll heroes, so I'm really excited about this one. I believe this might have like a second chance vibe to it, because I think the hero and heroine like meet, maybe fall in love in high school, and then maybe some years down the road they get back together. I'm not really sure, because I really don't need to know much about the plot when it comes to this author, because like I said, I just loved The Gravity of Us so much. All right, so now we are going to get into the books that I have physical copies of. First up, we have My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. I am even more excited to dive into this book, because right before filming this, I looked up to see if there was an audiobook, and the audiobook is becoming available on July 7th. So I will definitely be picking that up, and I will read this book. I mean, come on, clearly this is meant to be read during the summer vacation, and all I know is that it involves like an elementary school teacher and a bounty hunter, and they end up trying to solve a murder together. It's Tessa Bailey. I know I'm gonna love it. I have been adoring all of her most recent releases, so yeah, I'm super pumped. I know I keep saying that for every book, but I'm just so excited. Next up, we have Becoming Calder by Mia Sheridan. Mia Sheridan is yet another author that I have read 3 books by her at this point, and I just need to read more. She has a huge backlist. It's probably gonna take me years and years to get through all of her books, but she's just a phenomenal author. She can write like a pretty wide variety of subgenres within the romance genre, because I've read a horror romance by her, really loved that. And then of course I've read Archer's Voice, and I've also read Most of All You. She just does a really great job with darker contemporary romances. This one I believe has to do with a cult. It says, there is a place in modern day America with no electricity, no plumbing, and no modern conveniences. In this place, there is no room for dreams, no space for self-expression, and no tolerance for ambition. And so it sounds like the hero and heroine are both in this cult. And I'm really excited. Also, shout out to Jess, because she gifted this book to me for Christmas last year. Thank you so much, Jess. I love you so much. But yeah, I'm just really excited. This is also book 1 in a series that I believe centers around this cult. So that sounds really interesting. Next up, we have Heavy Crown by Sophie Lark. This is the 6th and final book in her Brutal Birthright series. I have really been having a good time with this mafia romance series. I have heard some kind of mixed reviews about this one, but I'm still excited about it nonetheless. This cover is stunning, by the way. The book that comes before this one in the series, Broken Vow, is one of my top favorite romances that I've read this year. So yeah, like I know that this isn't gonna necessarily compare to that one, but I'm still very much looking forward to it. Next up, we have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is the Book of the Month edition. I have never read anything by this author, but Brie, once again, Brie always gives like the best contemporary romance recommendations for me. Like seriously, every book that I've read from her recommendation, I've given at least 4 stars. Like we have a very similar reading taste. And so I saw recently that she raved about this book, and she said it was one of her favorite books that she read in May. So I am very, very intrigued. I have not been blown away by traditionally published contemporary romances lately, but I still have high hopes for this one. This one is a small town romance. The synopsis centers around Alexis Montgomery. She has had her world turned upside down after a wild bet. The cause, Daniel Grant, a ridiculously hot carpenter who's 10 years younger than her and as casual as they come, the complete opposite of sophisticated city girl Alexis, and yet their chemistry is undeniable. So it sounds like it's gonna be one of those fish out of water romances. I especially love it when the heroine is the one coming to the small town for the first time. Yeah, I love that vibe. I definitely have high hopes for this one. Then last but certainly not least, we have A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. So this is the book that we are reading for July for the SJM along, which is a read along of all of Sarah J. Maas's published works that Jen from the book Refuge put together. And so there is going to be a live show discussing this book at the end of July. I am super excited to be rereading this book for the first time. I had a really fun time rereading ACOTAR, especially because the new graphic audiobooks have been released for both ACOTAR and A Court of Mist and Fury. So I'm really excited to reread this book with that audiobook, because those audiobooks are absolutely fantastic. The production value is unreal. The voice actors are incredible. So I highly recommend going that route. But yeah, I mean, come on. This is like a classic fantasy romance at this point. And I just can't wait to fall in love with Rhysand all over again. So that's going to be it for my July TBR. I think you guys can sense how excited I am about this coming month reading wise. I would love it if you would leave a comment down below if you want to discuss any of the books that I brought up in this video, or if you want to tell me about books that you are really excited about getting to in July. I would also love it if you would leave a like and subscribe, and I thank you so much in advance if you do. And with all of that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye! Next up, I have That Time I Got Drunk and I don't know the title of this. I don't know the title of this. That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. So at the very beginning of the month, I read The Lady and the Duke. I should know this. The Lady and the Duke or A Lady and the Duke. I don't know. I would also love it if you would leave a comment. Nope, I already said that. And with all that